What do you guys know about credit?
You ain't got none.
I ain't got none. When you hear the word credit, what does it bring to mind? Can I take this off? Credit cards. Okay, what is a credit card? What does that mean? Somebody that doesn't know.
You get credit or you can buy stuff.
You get points.
Get points. Okay. When somebody talks about a credit score, what does a credit score mean?
Your reputation.
Your reputation financially, right? Okay. So look, not to scare you guys, but unfortunately or fortunately, one way or the other, credit is something that this entire country runs off of. You can't go get an apartment. You can't go buy a car. You can't get a house without a proper line of credit and a proper good credit history. So first of all, I want to talk to you today about the difference between debit and credit cards. Okay, those terms get used interchangeably, and they're not the same. And then the second thing I want to talk about is ways to build credit, take care of your credit, and actually some of the benefits, like Alyssa just said a second ago about points and the benefits of credit cards. Some teachers and some parents and some people will tell you credit cards are bad, don't use them. But that's not true, because you have to have some type of credit in order to build credit. Okay. So first of all, do you guys know what the difference between a debit card and a credit card is?
There's no money you actually have.
You don't know?
Credit's like a loan.
Yeah. Credit's a loan from the bank, basically. You got to pay it back. Debit, you have to have it already. It's like same as cash. I don't know if this is going to play very well, but it's super short. Just watch this real quick.
Gone are the days of carrying cash. Now we look to credit and debit cards for our purchases. They may look the same, but how we use them are entirely different. A debit card links directly to your bank account. If you use a debit card to buy something, the money is taken immediately out of your checking account. Debit cards give you quick access to your money via ATMs with zero interest and no monthly payments or late fees. But beware, if you're a victim of identity theft or your debit card is stolen, it can take weeks to months for your bank to get that money replaced. If you try to spend without any available funds, your bank may let you, but you'll deal with overdraft fees. A credit card is a loan. When using a credit card, you are borrowing money to pay for your purchases. You can either make a minimum payment or pay the full balance owed each month. Most credit cards come with additional rewards such as travel points and hotel discounts. This is helpful when making large purchases. A credit card also builds your credit, which is important for bigger investments, like a house. Credit cards are useful to pay for emergencies such as car repairs or home damage. But keep in mind, credit cards come with fees. For example, a late fee can be applied if you don't pay your bill on time, which can affect your credit score. Most cards charge interest, and some may come with an annual fee, so look out for those rates when applying. Consider your lifestyle to decide which one is right for you. Or why not have both? Visit Mint in.
All right. So debit card, come on, go away. Takes money straight out of your account. Obviously, there's no fees because it's the same as cash. You do want to have a debit card because if you need to pull out cash somewhere, you can go to the ATM, pull cash out. If it's your bank, they don't charge you a fee generally. But if you're using the ATM card in another bank or one of those rinky-dink ATM machines, watch out because they're going to charge you a lot of money. Is it safe? The video mentioned something that's really, really important. When you use a debit card, how many of you have a debit card? Okay, linked directly to your account. That's the thing, is this is the direct line to your account. Now that doesn't mean that somebody steals your card and then go to the ATM. Why? They can't go to the ATM and get your money out. Why? They don't have your PIN. But what can they do with your card? Go what? Go to Walmart. Go buy a 70-inch plasma or LCD TV, right? They can do that without your PIN. And that's where things get kind of dicey because the bank, this video mentioned that the bank takes some time to investigate that and legitimate, because unfortunately there are people out there who will go buy a big screen TV and then call the bank and say, hey, somebody stole my card. I didn't make that purchase, right? But that requires a little investigation. And if that truly does happen to you, when the bank is investigating, you don't have that money. And what if that person who stole your card literally wiped your account out, right? You don't have money for anything. You can't pay rent, can't pay your bills, can't pay your groceries. So it just really, really sucks. But on the flip side of that, if you have a credit card, you don't have to worry about that. There's actually some, I'm going to give you a story example here in a minute, where if somebody does steal your credit card, well, you're not liable for that yet because you haven't even paid for it yet. The bank has. And it's not even the bank that's paid for it. It's these huge credit card companies, Visa, MasterCard, Discover, American Express, who make billions and billions and billions of dollars every year. And the reason they make billions and billions of dollars is because obviously they charge fees. They charge fees and they charge interest on your purchases, but not always. And so we'll talk about that as well. You think credit cards are safe?
Yeah.
I mean, they can be safe in case somebody steals your card, but they can't be safe if you're not responsible enough to use that card, right?
Mm-hmm.
So obviously there are some of us that just have problems spending, and we have a credit card and we spend more than what we can make in a month, and then we end up in credit card debt. And then you have people like my sister who has been paying off thousands and thousands of dollars of credit card debt over the past 10 years and has never been down to zero, you know. Now I'm not throwing, y'all don't know my sister, so I'm just kind of using that as an example, but she's one of millions of people that are like that. Really quickly, I want to talk to you about the interest on a credit card and kind of how it works. This is a crash course of interest on credit card, though. I used to do this a lot more in depth. We're just running out of time this year. Let's crash course, because when you see these interest rates on credit cards, these are, I mean, this is the average. I just pulled this up yesterday. Average as of this month, average credit card interest rate is 16.15%. But the credit card companies don't actually just, that's an APR. It's an annual interest rate. They don't just apply 16% of your balance, and that's how you get the interest. They actually, what they do is they find the average daily balance on your account, and they find the daily interest rate by taking the yearly interest rate and dividing it by 365. And then they give you basically interest every single day of the month. And it adds it all up at the end of the month, and that's how much they send it to you. So without making you actually guys do the work, just to give you an idea, about a credit card with a $5,000 balance gets about $67 in interest, but every month. And if you have a card with that much money on it and you don't really pay it down that much, well, then it's $67 every month over and over again. And that starts to add up really, really quick. And then when you do get your credit card and you owe payments, the credit card companies only want you to pay a little bit of that bill. They don't want you to pay a lot of it. Why do you think they want to charge you so small? They have minimum monthly payments that you have to make every month. And if you don't make these monthly payments every month, you're going to get a late fee. But why do you think the minimum payments are so low, especially if you owe so much? You don't know? So they can add interest, right? Let's help me fill this calculator out. Check this out. I want to show you how bad this is. Let me show you just in one short example, show you how bad this is. Let's use the TVM calculator. You guys just help me fill it out. I'm going to pull it up on the screen. Pay a credit card that has a $5,000 balance. You have $5,000 that you need to pay off. And the interest rate is 16.15, which is the current rate right now. And let's just say the minimum payment is $75 a month. So I'm an idiot. I have $5,000. I'm only going to pay the minimum every month. Okay. So help me figure this, solve this. We're going to solve for N. What is my I? 16.15. Okay. What's my present value? What's my PV? The $5,000 that I owe. How much of a payment did I say I was going to make? So what do I put right here? Negative 75. Good. What do I want my future value to be? What do I want the value of the credit card to be? 0. And how often am I making payments? Every month. So this is going to be 12. All right, let's fill this out. What do you guys think? How long do you think it's going to be? 170. 170 years? 170 months, yeah. It's hard to see. 170 months, which is about 14 years. 14 years. No wonder the credit card company wants you to just pay the minimum payment. And that's assuming you don't use that freaking credit card at all over the next 14 years and add more to it. And look at this. I mean, Jasmine hit it on the head. Why do you think companies have such a low monthly payment? Because they want that interest. And this is how much it's really added up to be. Look at this. If 170 months means 170 payments times $75 a month, that's actually $12,750 you're spending. How much was the original credit card? Only $5,000 you had on there. That's almost 2.5 times as much. No wonder the credit card companies give you such a small minimum payment. If they made it bigger, you would pay more and you would pay less in interest and they would make less money. Okay. So there are some ways to utilize credit cards correctly. Obviously, the video said it, and I'm telling you, you need to have a credit card to build credit. It's the easiest way to build credit, but use it on stuff that you spend money on cash for every single day instead of using your debit card or cash. Because if you have the cash and you know you can pay it off, just pay the credit card off at the end of every single month. So I'm going to put 3 up here real quick. I actually should have talked about the third bullet point first. Pay off your balances at the end of every month. Use your credit card. Go to the bank. Go to whatever bank you're using right now if you need to. The big banks the credit unions have better rates. Okay, the smaller banks, anybody have like Randolph Brooks or University or any of those? Those are always going to have the better rates. But the drawbacks of the smaller banks is if you travel or go somewhere else, you don't have access to ATMs and you don't have access to a bank. The bigger banks have slightly bigger interest rates, but they're a lot better. They're national. You have access to a lot more resources with the bigger banks. They don't want you to pay off your balance every month. Okay. They're not going to make any money that way, but there's nothing they can do about it. Pay off your balance and only use your card for things that you already are going to use it for. Gas, groceries, guys, haircuts every month, right? These are the things that we're going to spend money every month anyway. Why don't you use your card instead of using your debit card or your cash? I like to put on everything on my card as much as possible because the more that I use my card, not only the better my credit's going to get, but what Alyssa said a second ago, I get some points. I'll talk about that in a second. Make sure you have a budget. Obviously, what we just talked about. Don't overspend. Don't spend on stuff that you couldn't afford to pay for in cash, unless obviously it's an emergency. Okay, you get sick, you go to the hospital, you get in a car wreck, you got to fix your car. That you're going to need to do those things, right? You have to use your car to get to work. Obviously, emergencies are different, but don't go buy a $10,000 TV just because you want to make your game room look badass with your new Xbox, right? So those are, and then check your statements. Make sure that your car's not getting charged more than what it should be. It's happened to me before where I went to a restaurant and I paid for my food and they double charged me. Okay, if you're not looking at that on your statements and you don't really know, okay, make sure you're checking those things. Here's one that I add in there because a lot of people don't know what I'm about to tell you. Be careful when you're paying stuff online. How many of you ever bought anything online? We've all done it. How do you know that when you buy something online, that when you put your credit card number in, that it's safe for you to do so? The lock. You guys know what this lock is up here? Right there. On the computer, it's right here. What does that mean?
That's secure.
It's a secure website. This company, which in this case is Google, has security on their website, encryption. It's blocked from hackers. So your information is secure with those websites if you see that lock there on your browser. You don't see that lock and it's asking you for credit card information or personal information of any kind, I would not put in or buy from that website. Okay. It's vulnerable to get stolen. And some it's like 80 to 90% of all identity and credit card theft is done online. Okay. So be careful. And obviously report your cards immediately if they get lost or stolen. And that should be pretty standard. All right, let's talk about those benefits. When I go out to eat with with a bunch of friends and we're splitting the check, I always be like, "Hey, I'll pay for it. Y'all just Venmo me." Why do you think I want to do that?
Credit card.
I use my credit card and I get points. They're going to give me cash, Venmo, but I put it all on my credit card because the more I spend on my credit card, the more points that I get. I just spring break. I just took my fiance and I went to Fort Worth for 3 days. We had 3 days, 4 days, 3 nights at I've got a 5-star hotel downtown Fort Worth for the 3 days that we were there. We went to the zoo, whatever. 5-star hotel, super super nice. It was really really nice. Guess how much it cost me? Nothing. I got 3 nights there with my credit, just with my credit card points. My credit card points I got built up just for using my credit card on all the stuff that I would have bought that month anyway. Gas, groceries, haircuts, stuff like that. Okay. Just for using my credit card, they're giving me these points. Some credit cards give you cash back. You've seen those commercials where if you use your card at the grocery store, use it at gas, you get like 3% cash back. What's the credit card with what's his name? Samuel L. Jackson in it. Is that the MasterCard, the Capital One, right? He's in the Capital One commercials. They cash back for different things and discounts. Really, you can use. How many have you ever been to the mall and bought clothes and they're like, "Hey, if you open up this card right now, well, you can get like 15% off your entire purchase." Okay, discounts. Those are huge. Obviously, a lot of benefits there. No interest financing. Do you know what that means? All of you, some of you own a car. How many of you have a car right now? You have a truck, right? Okay. How much do tires on your truck cost?
$700.
For one or all of them?
All
All of them. $700. 4 new tires. How often you got to get new tires? Usually every couple of years, right? Every couple of years, you got to get new tires. It's just one of those expenses we got to spend on. Nobody wants to drop $700 all at once, right? You got a discount tire over here. There's a promotion that they run pretty much every single time you buy tires. Okay, you open up their credit card with them. What do? They give you 6 to 12 months, no interest on that purchase. Meaning you put it on their credit card, you get to pay it off in 6 or 12 equal payments over the next year, and they don't charge you any interest at all on it as long as you pay it off before that year is up. That's good. That's real good. Best Buy, they do the same thing. You want to buy a new washer dryer, new refrigerator, new TV from Best Buy, as long as it's over a certain amount, they give you like 12 or sometimes even 24 months no interest. The last TV that I bought from Best Buy, I got 2 years no interest. So all I did was when I got the bill, I divided it by 24, and that's what I'm paying right now every single month. No interest. But it is a lot better than dropping over $1,000 on a TV all at once. I'd rather spend it all over that time because now I can do some other things with that money that I get each month. Here's one thing that a lot of people don't know. If you use certain credit cards, give you extended warranties on the products that you buy. So say you want to buy a new fridge, and the fridge comes with a 2-year warranty. Well, the first 2 years, you have a problem with that fridge, you call the manufacturer. That's how any warranty works. But some of these cards have extended warranties, and it'll double the warranty on your purchase. So after 2 years is up, if you have a problem with that fridge, instead of calling the manufacturer, you call the credit card company, and guess what? They ship you a new refrigerator, or they send somebody out to fix it. Okay? They cover that just because you put that purchase on that credit card. That's literally all you had to do. You're going to buy it anyway, so why not put it on the card? Okay, these are all benefits for using the credit cards. And here's the one that's probably the most important benefit is disputes. Here, I'm going to give you an example that happened to me. About 6 years ago, before I bought my current vehicle, my transmission was going out on my old car. Those of you that know about cars, how much is that, do you think, to fix? Is it a little repair or is it a big repair? It's a big repair, okay? Everything was about $3,500 to fix. I had to make a decision. Do I want to fix it or do I want to buy a new car? I decided to fix it because I didn't want to get into a car payment at the time. A new car payment, and that car was already paid off, right? Went to this mechanic that my mom referred me to, got things fixed, got the car back, and within a week or so, it was doing the same thing. It was another problem with the transmission, and I took it back, and he was like, no, this is a new problem altogether. You're going to have to pay another X amount of a couple $1,000s. I'm like, that's BS. Okay. I didn't believe him, so I took it to another mechanic. Mechanic confirmed that it was the same issue, that it was a part that he replaced was bad or whatever. Went back to him. He didn't want to help me. Finally, back after a bunch of back and forth, I told him, he told me, don't come over here anymore. I'm not refunding you. I'm not doing anything. I'm not going to work on your car. And I was like, well, this is BS. My car, so I was out $3,500 and I still don't have a working card. So I called the credit card company. I had put it on a credit card. The great thing about credit card companies is that they have an army of lawyers called arbitrators on their side. Who's the customer to the credit card company? You or the vendor? You are, all right? They want to make you happy. They could care less about the vendor. You are their customer. They're going to fight for you. I told them my problem. They required a bunch of documentation to me. I sent in my quote from the other mechanic that I had gotten to, all this stuff. And about a month later, guess what they did? They refunded all my money, even though that little prick didn't. And then when they refund me, they go back and they do a chargeback on them. So they ultimately still get their money, and it's up to them. But I got my money back. Okay, I got my money back, $3,500 got back because I used my credit card. If I had paid that dude cash, I would have been screwed. If I had paid that dude with a debit card, I would have been screwed. So big purchases like that, especially for services, okay, wedding services, catering, like car, home improvement, plumbers, like all that type of stuff, definitely want to use a credit card in case you have a problem like that. Okay, even if you're going to pay it, even if you have the cash, just pay it. If you have the cash, pay it off at the end of the month, but put it on the card so that you have that protection. Obviously, the biggest thing is it helps you build that credit. Okay, we want to have credit, and the last slide I'm about to put up here is how is your credit measured? Okay, we can't buy a car, we can't buy a house, we can't buy really much of anything. Can't open much of anything without a good line of credit. And your credit score looks at 4 major things. Do you guys know what your credit score is comprised of? Does anybody have any idea? How long you've been with your job? Okay. What about when it comes to bills? If you pay them on time, that's the number one thing. On best ways to build credit, you got to make your payments on time. If you run your credit report, you can find every account that you've ever opened in your name and every payment, whether you've paid it on time or not. Literally. Okay, it's all tied to your social security number forever and ever. I'm 36 years old. If I ran a credit report right now, I found accounts that I would have opened when I was 18. And if I paid off that first credit card payment in September of 2000 and when did I turn 18? 2002. Okay, I would be able to find that in my credit report. It sticks with you. Make all your payments on time, and that doesn't even have to include credit cards. You can actually build credit by putting bills in your name. So when next year, how many of you want to move out? A couple years. Okay, you put in. You're gonna move in with some friends, sister. Sister, split up the bills in y'all's names because you don't want just one person with all the bills in their names because that doesn't help you. But if the bill's in your name, if you have like the light bill in your name or the water bill in your name and then you pay it off every month on time, that's really good for your credit because they use your social security number, your ID number for that stuff. That ties in. Cell phone bills as well. The second part of your credit score out of the 4 is keeping your credit utilization low. Credit cards are going to give you a limit. And at start, it's going to be small, meaning like you have a $1,000 limit. If you can't spend more than $1,000, everything just gets declined. Okay. As your credit gets better, what happens to your limits? It goes up. Okay. You get more credit limit. That doesn't mean you go and spend. Your credit limit goes up to $10,000 and the credit card doesn't mean you just go, oh, you know what? I'm going to go buy something that's worth $10,000. Okay. You want to keep your credit limit utilization low. It looks at the percentage of how much you have limits on all of your open accounts compared to how much you're actually using. Okay, so that's another thing. The third one that most people don't really know about for your credit score is don't open too many things at once. I know you're about to turn 18, But temper yourselves when you go out there. You open a bank account, okay, wait a couple months. You open a credit card, okay, good. Wait another couple months. Don't open like 3 or 4 credit cards all at once with all different perks. Find a credit card that has 1 or 2 different perks that you might want to use. Air miles, points to buy stuff, cash back. Those are all good different things. Or find a card that can work at a lot of different places. Don't pigeonhole yourself by just opening a discount tire card because that's only going to work at discount tire. All right, unless they offer some type of like discount tire Visa card, like or a Southwest Visa card because Southwest does that. Air miles, those are good too, always too. And then keep your accounts open as long as possible. So when you do go open your first account, make it something that you want, make it something that's going to last because the longer that you have your accounts open, the better your credit score gets. If you end up, let's say down the road, you end up with 2 or 3 credit cards, which is fine, and you want to close one of them, it's better to leave it open and not use it than it is to close it. Okay. Now, obviously, unless there's some other extenuating circumstances that's going to force you to close that account, maybe you get married and change your name, you don't want that account open anymore, right? Those are different circumstances, but it's better to leave them open than to keep constantly opening and closing them, opening and closing them. Every time you open an account, it dings your credit score. Even if you just run an application, and these stores like in the mall, like the clothes stores and stuff, they'll constantly ask you guys, hey, you don't even have to do it today. You don't even have to open it up. Let's just see if you get approved. Have you ever heard people say that before? Just see if you get approved. Don't do that because that's literally running an inquiry on your credit report, which takes off a couple points every single time you do it. Okay, so unless you're actually sure that you're actually going to do it, don't let them run those applications. And then obviously check your reports. I got a message here. I'll look at it. You used to have to say that, Mia? Yeah, I know, and it sucked. I used to have to say that too when I worked in retail. When I worked at Circuit City, we had a credit card, and I felt bad. I generally felt bad because I offered credit cards to people that I know should not have had them or should not have used them. And we approved people like at Circuit City for like $10,000 credit cards, and I would see them literally spend all $10,000 that day. And I just knew it was not like I just knew this person couldn't afford to do that. But we were, and I'm sure Mia, maybe you were in the same position. I'm sure that but we had to. That was part of our job. Our bosses told, and when I worked at Circuit City, I was 16, 17, 18 years old. What am I going to do? Talk back to my boss and tell him, no, I don't want to do that. These people can afford to do that. That's how I literally got paid, was to sell all that stuff. The last thing I had on here was to check your credit reports. Federal government lets you check your credit report for free once a year. Okay. When you check your credit report, it tells you everything that you've already opened under your name for your entire life. I ran it 1 year, a couple years ago, and I saw an account under there, a credit card that was opened in my name that I never opened. If I had not run my credit report, I would have never known that was there. And if whoever used that report, whoever used that credit card ran up a bill and didn't pay it, guess who's liable? I am. So I unfortunately caught it early enough to where I reported it as fraud, and they closed the account, and then they took it off my credit report, luckily. But it could have been worse. And I've heard some stories of people who take forever and ever. Fraud, identity theft can just kill somebody's reputation, literally. What's your digital footprint? Last thing.
Things you post online and do online stays online forever.
Stays online forever, right? You're not only just your social media, but we're starting to get to that day and age where not only employers are looking at social media and your digital footprint, but creditors are starting to look at your digital footprint. And I'm not talking about your social media. I'm talking about there's some correlations between some certain things, such as what email provider do you use? Do you know that, and again, this is not causation, this is correlation, but do you know that people with a Gmail email address as their primary email are less likely to default on credit loans than people who have Hotmail and Yahoo? This is true. This is a true statement.
Less likely to what?
Less likely to default on a credit loan or credit card payment or a loan payment. Then default means like not pay it.
Oh.
Okay. Are less likely to not pay their loans than people who have Hotmail and Yahoo. That doesn't mean that if you have a Yahoo account that you're automatically going to not pay your bills, right? But there's a correlation between those things. What type of phone do you have? How many of you have iPhone? Anybody have an Android? Anybody at home have Android? Am I the only one? Well, according to statistics, I'm less likely to pay my bills on time than somebody who has an iPhone because I have an Android.
Is that true for you?
It's not true for me, no. I don't know. My phone's probably more expensive than all yours. I'm just kidding. That's a true statement. Now, there are reasons behind some of these correlations, possibly, but that doesn't mean that that's what's going to happen. But creditors are looking at those things, and they make decisions off of those things, and it kind of sucks. What time of day that you actually buy products, either whether you're online or over the phone. People who use their smartphone to shop more are more likely to default on loans than people who use a computer to shop online. These are all trends that have been noticed over the years, and creditors are making decisions based on these. So your guys' only assignment today is a little article that I want you to read, but I converted that article into an ed puzzle, and you'll find it on there at 8.4. So just read that article and answer a couple of questions, and that's it.